Rickey Rat is yet another horror story type game on Roblox, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. No, like, I'm not even joking, I actually enjoyed it, you should go play it. Ever since high school blew up, it seems like the Roblox horror genre has really blown up with the multiplayer adventure type games. And I'll have to be honest here, a lot of them are However, admittedly, I'd rather have more horror games being made than none at all. Despite waves upon waves of basic horror games, you'll always find gold once in a while. Sometimes in unexpected ways. Basically, I kind of got forced into playing this game by a friend, and I went in thinking that it was gonna be and boring as but I was actually pleasantly surprised. Alright, so I'm just gonna talk about the game now, so I recommend that you go play it before watching the rest of this video. Link is in the description. Anyways, so the game starts out with this little cutscene that already tells you what kind of game that this is gonna be. Basically, the plot here is that you assume the role of a school child who is on a school field trip to go see Mickey Mouse. Next thing you know, you're eating lunch, and oh no, a really abrupt jump scare. Alright, so then you have to go find Mickey, and there's like this really random and out-of-place scream coming from the left. Then you have to go cross this road, and holy shit, these people do not stop for anybody. Oh look, a cave. A cave that's actually a sewer disguised as a cave. Okay, so while you traverse the sewers, you find out the first clear sign that things are definitely not okay here. There's a dead rat on a chair, and while that isn't all that weird for a horror game, there's a rat cyborg thing in the room down the hallway. Also, it comes to life to beat your ass after taking the key. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter all that much, because you escape the sewer and just shrug it off like it was a small inconvenience. After exiting the cave, you come across another mouse robot guy, and he reveals himself to actually be friendly. He tells you that he was the original prototype for the rat robot things and that he was first programmed to kill things, but now he just lives peacefully on his own. So he's basically the equivalent of the T-800 in Terminator Dark Fate. He then tells you that he's sensing a presence of something in the area and starts telling you to run, but then he's like, oopsies, sorry about that, it was just the mouse inside of me acting up. I honestly thought that this was a little weird when I first heard this. At first I thought that the rat robots were actually rat cyborgs or simply rats placed inside of a larger body, but apparently this guy implies that the rat robots are actually androids with a shared consciousness. Like, the robot has a mind of its own, but the rat also has an occasional say in what happens. Okay, well, anyhow, the rat's warnings were actually true because a giant fist crashes into this poor dude's house and now there's a boss you have to fight. It's a giant rat instead of a glass box with two metal fists and fireworks as well. Why is this rat the size of a house? Why does it have telekinesis of some sort? And why does it want to kill you? I don't know, but you certainly have to kill it to progress. After defeating the giant rat thing, you're allowed to progress and you finally come across the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Also, there's a crash bus outside. I'm not exactly sure how it got there, but I'm assuming that this might be where the game was originally supposed to start from, considering that the school bus is literally just not there when you're eating lunch at the start of the game. When you head inside the building, you'll soon realize that the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has become the Mickey Mouse Crack House. Also, jump scare.
It's fine.
Oh,
All.
sorry.
Wow.
I got scared by the f***ing Mickey Mouse.
Your next objective is to look for Mickey and warn him of what's happening with all the rats and stuff. And yeah, there's a large infestation of spiders, insects, and just all around weird shit. You meet this sentient computer that tells you that Mickey can be found in the basement, and he opens a secret door hidden behind a bookshelf for you. And yeah, you just go down into a random stranger's basement without second thought. This isn't a basement, by the way. It's a dungeon. Not just any dungeon, though. It's one of those dungeons with puzzle doors and shit. Alright, so there's this door that requires 3 Mickey heads in order to open. First one is acquired by comforting the little girl who's captured in a cell. She says that she was also on a school field trip to see Mickey and was abducted and wants her teddy bear. Honestly, I would just ask for directions on my way out, but kids are stupid, you know. After finding the teddy bear, you go back to her and holy shit, she turned into a Mickey head. Okay, so the second step is helping the knight, who interestingly was also on a school trip to go see Mickey before being abducted. I didn't know that they had school trips in the 1600s, but who knows, maybe he's a LARPer. The knight asks of you to bring him this chalice, and the whole thing is a reference to Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. You know the drill, there's a bunch of cups, pick the wrong cup, and you die. And in the end, the right cup is ironically the most mundane out of all of them. After giving the cup to him, you just have to go through this big scary door, which is a boss fight against a monster known as the Guardian. If the giant rat boss was supposed to be part of the Rat Legion or whatever, I think that the Guardian is supposed to be the big bad version of those fleshy creatures that are running around. I have to say, its design is pretty interesting. She got a bad though, not gonna lie. After defeating the Guardian, you acquire the third and final Mickey head, but you also get this little cutscene or vision that reveals Mickey to be this authoritarian dictator who's raising this massive army of rat robot things. And seeing this is finally enough for your character to realize that Mickey is the main villain here and that you should definitely get the f*** out of there. Opening the door with the final Mickey head, it would seem that you're finally about to escape this weird dungeon with your knight friend, but alas, something is wrong. For some reason, the knight guy decides to, out of nowhere, literally betray you, saying that there can only be one survivor, and then he drops the floor below you, landing you into the abyss below. I don't know why he suddenly became evil, or how he managed to drop the floor, or why there can only be one survivor. If he calls himself a survivor, then he certainly can't be working for Mickey, but either way, it's mainly supposed to be a setup to keep the story going for Chapter 2. From my first glances, I kind of thought that Rickey Rat would just be another one of those copy-and-paste horror adventure games that try to take themselves too seriously. Kind of like any creepypasta, to be honest, but I soon realized that this game does not seem to take itself seriously at all, which, in my opinion, is its biggest strength. The opening cutscene already establishes that this game has no problem throwing in random things during the plot, which I think works fine in this instance. For one, the opening cutscene clearly establishes that this game isn't meant to be taken 100% seriously, but since this is Chapter 1, it kind of just makes sense for the game to throw in a bunch of shit that will be planned on being expanded on later. I really enjoyed the fuck out of this game, quite frankly. It's stupid and dumb, but that's part of the charm, honestly. The obliviousness of the creatures, the abrupt and random cheesy jump scares, the obnoxious death screams, and the f***ing Guardian wearing stiletto high heels. It's great, honestly. I also felt like the game was enjoyable because I didn't feel constantly threatened that I was going to die at any point and have to start over. When I was in the lobby, I was admittedly concerned that this game would be a pay-to-win kind of deal, given the Infinite Lives Game Pass. However, when I realized that you don't die in one shot to the enemies, and the addition of 3 lives, as well as having various heal stations throughout the map, I was relieved, to say the least. I felt like having 3 lives doesn't make the game too easy, but it doesn't make it punishingly difficult either. I feel like so many of these f***ing games have an obligatory monster that instantly kills you and forces you to restart or pay Robux for another life, which is dumb and stupid, and all it does is make me click out of the game and never play it again. However, in this case, the combat system seems fair, and there's plenty of replayability when it comes to upgrades and such. The currency used to upgrade your weapons and such is guts, which are acquired by looting dead bodies across the map or killing enemies. Due to the fact that you get quite a lot of weapons, you can replay the game multiple times to distribute your guts into different upgrade paths. In my opinion, I think that the sledgehammer is my favorite weapon, with the machete as my close second. Despite this game being called Rickey Rat, with Mickey on the cover, it is a little sad that we didn't get to see Mickey all that much in the first chapter. I do hope that we get to see a lot more of him in the following installments, and I really hope that Chapter 2 expands on the ideas that were presented in Chapter 1. I feel like this game actually does have potential in terms of telling an interesting story, which I think is kind of funny when you think about it. The rat robot things were a pretty interesting idea, and I'm going to hope that we find out why and how they came to be. My personal theory is that certain rats have mind powers or whatever, and that they're powerful enough to provide energy for robots and such. The rats don't seem to be 100% on board with being robots, given that the rat, instead of the prototype robot, immediately tells you to run away, before being silenced by the prototype. Kind of reminds me of the film Get Out. Also, the giant rat that comes to kill you is called Rat the Tortured, which might imply that its brain power is being sapped by the machine in order to power its telekinetic hands or something, I don't know. Another piece of evidence to support this theory is that countless rats were killed in the creation of these robots, which would suggest that whoever is making these machines doesn't exactly have regard for rat life or whatever. Anyhow, I really hope that Chapter 2 is able to deliver on expanding these ideas. I think that they could just simply take the easy way out and just throw in a bunch of more random shit, but then I don't think that it'll be funny nor interesting. I think that if they start building onto the ideas of the rat robots, Mickey's empire, and maybe even explaining why only one person was allowed to leave the dungeon, it would be really interesting. It would also be cool if they explained why a knight was captured by Mickey. Like, is Mickey hundreds of years old, like the Beldam from Coraline? Has he been capturing people on field trips since the 1600s? I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of potential here. Either way, I'm getting ahead of myself. Rickey Rat is a really fun game to play, and it's pretty random and funny. It definitely stands out from its peers just because of how bizarre the nature of it is, and I highly recommend checking it out with some friends whenever you can. If you're waiting for Chapter 2 to come out, like me, perhaps check out some of my other videos in the meantime. They're kinda cool, I guess. Also, sorry I haven't uploaded in the past month. I don't have any excuse except I was lazy. However, there's going to be 2 guaranteed videos coming out by the time I'm writing this, so hopefully you'll enjoy them. Either way, thanks for watching. Love you. Call to the Cryptids is next.